Okay, tell me if that sounds familiar to you. You've been having a bad time trying to get inspired. You force it and nothing comes out of your efforts. You see people all around you outputting so much art and you can't bring yourself to actually do anything. You don't feel inspired. But that's the thing, inspiration runs away from you the more you try to force it. It's very elusive. You have to attract it, and I might have the method for you to do just that. I cannot 100% guarantee that this is going to solve any art block problems that you've been having, but it's worth trying. So if that sounds good to you, join me on this video, and I'll share with you what has been helping me lately. Before we jump into it, I just want to say that if this kind of video is interesting for you, if this sounds like a good thing for the art community, don't hesitate on liking this video, commenting with your own ideas, whether you agree with me or not, and subscribing. This really helps a lot. And I'm also writing a book on art and life with content similar to the ones that I talk about in my videos, but more well articulated. And the first chapter is free, so check the link on this video's description. As I said before, I cannot 100% guarantee that this is going to solve any problems. And the reason I cannot guarantee is because the reason you're not feeling inspired could be for a lot of different reasons, and these could range from extremely personal situations to a more broad, general event that happens in the life of every single artist. This is, after all, a very common situation. We've all been there, and it's very likely that we're going to be there again in the future. And to be totally frank, you cannot 100% solve this. I think our base inspiration levels fluctuate a lot throughout the days. It really depends on what is going on around us and how we are feeling about our own practices. But one thing is for sure, inspiration is based on imitation. Remember when I said that you cannot really force inspiration to come to you, you have to attract it. And that's the thing, anything in art is based on building foundations. Foundations which you can trace back infinitely. If you really want to understand how a specific art form has emerged and evolved across different eras and different artists, you're going to see that a lot of things in these people's environment and other art forms and even other art pieces at the time these people were alive were of huge inspiration to what they did. And if you go back in time to art forms in most European cultures, which were the basis of a lot of the art forms that we have nowadays, at least in the West, you're going to see that imitation played a huge role on what was art and what was not. Mainly the idea that art was more of a technique than a kind of subjective representation of one's soul. This changed somewhere in the past, and nowadays it's more of a common sense that art is more subjective and it is not altogether based on imitation but on creativity. But that's the thing, creativity is imitation, but it is an imitation in disguise. It is going to emulate a lot of different references that we have, and it's going to reshape them into something new. Something that sounds and looks and feels new to other people, but deep down is based on pre-existent material. So paradoxically, getting more inspired isn't about producing more, but about consuming more. But that's the thing, you have to consume it the right way. So consuming a specific piece of content can lead you to very different experiences. In one hand, you can consume a lot of content non-stop, not really thinking too much about it, and in the other hand, you can focus a lot of your time on a very specific piece of content that cultivates in you a lot of wonder, which leads me to tell you what is the thing that has helped me to get more inspired, and which I think that can be very beneficial to you, which is focus. You have to focus a lot on something that you really love. And at first, it doesn't feel like this is going to help you at all getting more inspired, because if you are on a rut, if you have been spending a lot of time, sometimes days, weeks, months, without feeling inspired, it might feel like consuming more content, even if with a lot of care and attention, might not lead you to get more inspired and making more stuff. But when you are carefree and just very receptive to a lot of different possibilities from different places, from different art forms, from different pieces, this can change very quickly, because we don't usually get inspired by things that we think we are going to get inspired by. It happens out of the blue most of the time. At least that's how it works with me. I don't search for inspirations, it kind of clicks with me. Even if I'm searching for inspirations, I can't really choose whether I'm going to get inspired by something or not. This is not up to me to decide. So the thing that you can do is not actually chase it and guarantee that you're going to get inspired, but guarantee that you're going to be receptive to get inspired, if that makes any sense. And why do I think that getting focused on something very specific is going to help you a lot. Like, what even is the difference between getting in contact with a lot of different art forms normally and getting these extremely focused sessions on stuff that you like? And when I say focused, I do mean it. I mean, like, put your phone away for the whole entirety of the thing that you're doing. Don't eat anything while you're doing it. Just pay attention to it. And if it is not something that you are used to do, you're gonna get these moments of relapsing into overthinking and panning out, and sometimes having to trace back and to rewind because you're going to lose focus. If you are like me and like most people who I know, you're not going to be able to focus a lot for such a long period of time, like 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 1 hour. The goal here is to try and make you the master of your attention once again. If you can control your attention and focus, you can be exposed to a specific thing for a long period of time. It opens up you to pick on a lot of very specific and niche details of that piece, which you would not perceive before, or if you did, it would not really impact you quite the same way. When you focus entirely in something in particular, be it a movie, an anime, a book, a talk, an interview, a documentary, a collection of pieces from the same artist, some stuff will happen. The first of which are, you won't get overstimulated. Being overstimulated is one of the curses of our modern era, and for me this situation of having too much to experience, being overstimulated, is quite the same as of you being at an amusement park and having little money to spend on everything. You want to have every single experience, eat everything that vendors are selling, but you can't. You have little money. You have to choose wisely on what you're going to spend, so you spend more time thinking of what you want to do with that little money than to actually having experiences. But if you were to have in mind that you want a very specific thing and decide beforehand that you are going to spend that time and money on that thing alone, then you don't have to decide. You just have to pay and experience it. The same thing happens when you are totally focused on something. You don't really have a lot of time to wander around and really jump from thing to thing. You can indulge in one thing only. Also, this kind of leads you to quote-unquote correct your dopamine baseline. This is much more complicated. I don't understand entirely what dopamine even is. I don't think 99% of content creators on YouTube do actually understand it, but I can say for sure that your baseline on what you consider boring and interesting is going to change a lot. This constant need to jump from one thing to another kind of wrecks your perception on what interesting stuff really are, and it feels very difficult to really pay attention to something entirely if you are not extremely interested in it. And if you can't at all focus on something, even if it feels interesting to you, then you should consider spending some time when you can on doing this practice and trying to focus entirely on something, because this is going to change your perception of interesting stuff and your relationship with the art that you consume. Because let's be honest, that's not normal, and it's not healthy to not being able to have control over your own focus and attention to the point that you cannot even experience something fully if you're not indulging into different things. So this practice might be a key for you to correct your dopamine baseline, if that sentence even makes any sense, but I think you get the gist of it. Also, you're going to feel more connected with something in particular, and having this special kind of connection with something really change the way that you treat the inputs that you get from stuff, but also the outputs, because let's remember, any kind of art that comes out of you has to have a lot of material that goes into you. So changing the relationship between you and your inputs is going to change also the relationship that you have with your outputs. When you do that and feel connected to a specific kind of art piece, you also pay attention to so many micro details that you wouldn't pay attention to if you were not paying full attention to it. So you can finally feel this wonder of being connected with a thing. And it's a feeling very similar to being in the zone, when you forget entirely your circumstances and everything happening around you. When you get to that point of watching a movie, for instance, and forgetting that you are there watching it, but actually feeling that movie as an experience, just letting your brain sink into it, then you're kind of ready for your brain to pick up on a lot of details and reuse them later on when you're actually ready to create. When I said that you can finally feel the wonder of something when you are fully attentive to it, I was referring to this feeling of being able to get touched by that art piece. It is way easier to get touched by an art form, to a specific content or art experience, when you are actually caring about that. And in order for you to care about something deeply, you have to be focused on it. You have to redirect your attention to that thing for an extended period of time. And not only that, but also the impressions that that thing leaves in you are going to last way longer. It is not the same thing. And I'm going to tell you some examples of how different art pieces have reshaped my imagination and made me actually make some of my most recent art pieces. So one of these examples is that piece of mine called Taciturnas, which is that piece of a red skull telling you to be quiet. Now, you would not imagine where the inspiration for this one came from, which was Invincible. And if you still haven't watched the 4th season of Invincible yet, spoilers ahead, and if you want to skip the spoilers, just jump ahead to the timestamp that I put on the screen right now. But there's this scene in which Mark punches Thrag, and for a brief moment you can see kind of this red skull of his flashing on the screen. Very briefly, but it is a very intense moment. And I was so captured by the moment and what was going on with the fight, because that is a very crucial moment in which we kind of recontextualize the character Thrag. But did I walk into this episode knowing that I would get inspired? Absolutely not. But the reason that I even got inspired in the first place, and the reason why that scene left such an impression on me and why this impression endured so long, was because I was so focused in it. Another example on how different things that you are not expecting reshape your imagination and make you more creative is this drawing that I am showing you right now on the screen, which was based on, you would not believe it, Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. And I have this very specific edition of the book, which comes with a lot of notes, and some of these very specific notes paired with the book cover inspired me to make this drawing, using these very light and tranquil colors, which are not usually associated with evil, with a demon character. Came of this experience of reading The Inferno, which is the first third of the book, but in a very specific edition, which used this palette on the cover itself. I even used a quote from the book in the final drawing. And I would never have guessed that this inspiration would come from this experience. But I was out there reading the book, not while doing other stuff, and I do kinda read the book while watching my friends getting absolutely destroyed on Elden Ring. It's the funniest thing ever. But the inspiration to make this art piece came from a moment in which I was reading the book, totally focused, paying 100% attention to it, and just really feeling it, letting it interact with me and my thoughts, and just having a good time experiencing it. These two are just two examples of things that have inspired me lately that came from experiences in which I was fully focused. But the more I think about it and the more I try to retrace back different ideas that I had, pretty much all of them came from moments in which I was fully aware, in which I was fully present at the moment, just letting myself experience something and getting touched by it. So the more I was thinking of it, the more I was realizing that creating more is not about trying to create more, but trying to consume more. And in the right way. Consuming not in order to have a larger number of references, a larger repertoire, but to actually feel. Inspiration doesn't come necessarily from volume, but from depth. Not from a lot of references, but from a lot of consideration over a very specific number of references. And it is not something particularly easy, and while listening to me, you might think that, first of all, it might not help you specifically at all, and second of all, that it doesn't sound that difficult. But I can guarantee that this is not as easy of a task as it seems, and I encourage you to try it out. Try it for a week. Spend some time every single day, 1 to 2 hours, experiencing stuff that you really want to experience, but that you have been putting on the side, postponing for quite some time now. That documentary, that movie, that game, that book, that interview, anything that you find interesting but can't bring yourself to actually experience. And do that fully focused. Don't talk to other people while you're doing it. Don't do it while you're eating. Train yourself to actually focus on it. And every time you kind of lose yourself in the middle of the way and zoom out of it, just take a moment, take a deep breath, and get back to it. Focus on it. And with time, you're going to see that you are kind of on this different mode. You operate differently. This way, you kind of build this muscle for focusing again. And you bring yourself to awareness, and you give yourself power over your attention span again. And you know whether this is working or not once you actually try it a couple of times, but you have to try it. And for the third and last time on this video, I cannot 100% guarantee that this is going to solve your art block problems or that this is going to make you more inspired and feel more creative, but chances are this is going to lead you to the right direction And if so, I'm so glad that I could help. And if it didn't, hey, at least you experienced some new stuff and gave yourself power over your attention span again, which is ultimately positive. Thank you so much for listening to me, and hopefully I'm going to see you here again next time. See ya.